In order to get your pathway through this lifetime on this earth, there are a few of our devotional emotions that are very important tools. One of them is appreciation, which is a sibling of gratitude. To be confident that the infinite will take care of it. We're so very fortunate. And confidence is another one, which simply means con with, fidens, faith. Trust is another. Assistance is another. And I'll help you and you'll help me and we'll help each other along. And then in some time we all will see how we all belong together. Appreciate is an interesting word. Is the prefix that means without. Pre is a middle term which means prior to. Siete is a Greek form of sensation. So it means, appreciate means without a prior sensation. In other words, you're coming into this moment as a newborn, without an opinion, without a sensation. With tremendous innocence. Be confident that the infinite will take care of it. We are so fortunate. And I'll help you and you'll help me. We'll help each other along. And then in some time we all will see how we belong together. Throughout history, those who have had some relaxation in their lives have spent time in meditation to try and work out and figure out how to best navigate the moment. And the moment has always been the most profound moment. Just like it is today. And the confidence that the infinite will take care of it is part of the equation. And if you add to that a skill set, that allows you to have talents. The confidence and the appreciation and the dedication are what we're going to work with today. To be confident that the infinite will take care of it. We're so fortunate to be confident that the infinite will take care of it. And I'll help you, and you'll help me, and we'll help each other along. And then in some time, we're all gonna see how we all belong together, how we all belong together. Welcome, everyone. The reason I love teaching like this so much is because we gather together, and people ask me all the time, when are you going to go back in person? And I think to myself, why would I want to be that selfish? Because here you are, all over the world. Here I am, wherever I am. It would take tremendous effort and a lot of resources to get us all into the same room. And that would be just for a week or a weekend or whatever. In this way, we can do it all the time. We can get together like this all the time. And it's without a lot of effort. You just have to do some clicks, as we have learned in this digital age. And so in today, we're going to work on how to navigate today. And one of the things I want to impress upon us is that the greatest way to navigate today is to be in today. Giving forward to the present moment is actually the first module in our 200-hour training at Kundalini University. And the reason that I'm going to start today, and the reason that we start our 200-hour training with that module, is that you have to let all of those things that are no longer living, that are in moments that are now what is called the past, you need to let them go. But what you want to derive out of them are the lessons and the messages. And once you have extracted the lessons and the messages from the moments, you can release them, just like your body does. Your body metabolizes and digests everything that you take in, whether it's food that you take in through your mouth, or sounds that you take in through your ears, or vision that you take in through your eyes. Everything is then metabolized and digested. And your body has a very artistic way of separating the nutrient from the carrying matter. The carrying matter is what is called waste once it has carried the nutrient into your body. And so every moment that we are navigating in this world has a combination of the carrying agents and the nutrition. And we eliminate the carrying agents as our elimination, whether it's liquid or solid. And then we absorb all of the nutrition. As you're moving through today's world, think of it as a constant absorption. You are absorbing every single minute moment of every single second, minute, hour, day, week, month, year. You are absorbing as you move through time-space. That is literally what we are as these physical beings. The way we navigate is that we don't hold on to the carrying agent. We don't hold on to the waste. Because what happens when we hold on to the waste is that the waste matter begins to weigh us down. And as that waste matter weighs us down, we become less and less awake because we are carrying such a heavy load. It's taking up our energy that could be used for our awakeness. It's taking it in order to carry it. So the first order, write this down in your notes. The first order of navigation is to pass through the moment, absorbing nutrient, eliminating waste. And I want you to put waste equals carrying and delivering capacity. You know, so often we experience something that is very dramatic, sometimes even traumatic. One of the things that we have to understand is that the law of infinity is holographic, which means that everything is contained within every moment. If everything is contained within every moment, that means that there is an exaltation, an inspiration that is equal to the drama or the trauma. This does not say that the trauma is okay. This just simply says that if the trauma has taken place, if you're navigating some rough waters in this moment, you must also have that confidence, that faith, that even though you may not be able to recognize it in that moment, that the shine is there. It may be a very dull moment, but the shine is there. Let me use some graphics. When the pressure is on, press back. Depression is actually when the pressure is on and you're unable to press back. And so what we're going to learn about today is the tools that enable us to press back. And sometimes the pressure can come on very quickly and there's no time to press back immediately. That's when you have to take that step by step by step process in order to press back. The universe comes from nothing. It has to, because if it came from something, where did the something come from? Well, the something had to come from nothing or something. So where did that something? Where did that something? Where did that? Ultimately, the universe came from nothing. And that's what puzzles even quantum scientists, because Kundalini is a science. It's a science of studying this right here. The universe materially was created by tension, pressure, stress, and friction. That's what created everything. Life is inserted within that material as ease physically, joy emotionally, knowing mentally, and liberation spiritually. Or as we call it also, divinely. So ease, joy, knowing, and liberation are who you are within your physical body, held together by tension, pressure, stress, and friction. When we're experiencing the tension, pressure, stress, and friction more than we are experiencing the ease, joy, knowing, and freedom, it means that we're focusing in an imbalanced way, that we are too much into the material and not enough into the living essence of matter. What can change this? What can alter this? In yoga, what can alter it are what are called the acupostures, the asanas as they're pronounced in Sanskrit. Those are the postures that you put your body into, which allows the energy to flow through. So when you're trying to navigate circumstances in the world, in order for you to have the best response, you want to have an articulate capacity physically to respond, so that that physical response becomes successful, which gives you an uplifting emotional response. When the physical response is successful and you have an uplifting emotional response to any moment, the mental response begins to have this exquisite clarity. Suddenly, from the fight and flight sympathetic nerves, you jump over to your parasympathetic, which is, let's take a step back and look at the big picture, see where it's coming from, where it's going to, intuition, and how do we then best place ourselves in the present moment to gain the greatest amount from the past and have the greatest trajectory into the future. This is navigation. When we use, as I said, acuposture, asana, and also biometric movement, which is that acuposture placed through movement, like in Tai Chi and Qigong and in the Kundalini Kriya system. When you have that defining your moments, the brain moves from its erratic, static, gamma and super beta into a more concentrated beta, and then has the capacity to go into alpha, which is deeply relaxing, and also theta. Now, if you notice the wave forms, these are what are called sawtooth waves. These are what are called sine, S-I-N-E, sine waves. The difference between the erratic sawtooth waves of the gamma, super beta, and beta are that they are causing the brain to turn on and off very rapidly. And when the brain is turning on and off very rapidly, what happens is that the brain doesn't have enough time to develop an idea. And so you find yourself in these loops in which you're not experiencing anything new. You're just rotating and revolving around the old information. And this is what causes us to then try and achieve success and remedy and solution in the moments that are coming in from the future, that are all brand new, containing many things that we have never experienced before. But we're trying to solve them with old ideas, old technology, things that worked in the past but are no longer effective. So what happens in meditation, what happens after you do a yoga kriya, a yoga set, is that your mental body begins to learn how to move into the alpha and theta. Theta is the dream time, but you can get into it while you're still awake. Lucid dreaming is one of those skills that you can learn in Kundalini as a science. So what happens is that you take the brain in your head and the brain in your heart and the brain in your gut, because we have these exquisite brains linked together by the neurology of the spine. And you begin to open up the brain waves and you begin to see that which is mostly invisible. And within that invisibility, you begin to perceive in drama circumstances, you begin to see hope. In very fierce circumstances, you begin to see channels of escape. This is what is extremely important. In addition to that, you begin to see healing pathways, pathways that can solve and resolve and dissolve any injuries that you sustain in moments in which you were not skilled enough to navigate them without drama or trauma. Take yourself in this moment and sit comfortably. And take your two hands and interlace your fingers. And take a deep breath. And just utter the sound of awe. And take another deep breath. Same sound once again. And just relax the breath. Keep the eyes closed for just a moment. Now the body, in any language, has a natural, resonant response to awareness. And that is, in any language, when you begin to understand something, you begin to understand a moment, you begin to understand a person, you begin to understand a circumstance, an idea, the response is, ah. And that's because ah opens up the throat. That's why the doctor, when they're asking you to open your mouth and say ah, they're trying to look down your throat. The throat center in our body is the center that translates raw information in the form of ideas that haven't yet been formed into understandable languaging information. In other words, your throat area is what has your voice, but it also has the comprehensive capacity, and it links the brain in the head with the brain in the heart. The brain in the heart is all about giving and receiving. The brain in the head is all about analyzing. So when you're receiving an idea because you've given out a request and you're receiving an idea back from that request, I need help. I need to know what's going on here. I need to understand this person. Whatever the giving request is, the heart is then receiving that information back. And to connect the heart's receptivity with the head's capacity of analysis, you need to open the throat. This is why we use mantra, which simply means the projection of the mind. Man is the mind and tra is projection. This is why we use these sounds. Now let's put an M in front of it, because when you close the lips, it takes that ah sound and puts it down into the belly, because it closes off the escape. So the sound travels down the esophagus into the belly, and that ignites the nutritional center, the nutritional brain, the brain of connecting and absorbing and digesting every moment, whether it's a moment with a person, it's a moment with a meal, it's a moment with just you by yourself, any kind of moment. So we're going to have the sounds ah, ma. It's the original pronunciation of the Christian and Judaic mantra Amen. It's also pronounced Amen. But its original sound was simply Ah-ma, because Amen, Amen takes the Ah, opens the throat, and the opens the gut. So interlace your fingers once again. Inhale deeply. Let's do it again. One more. And just sit. One of the things that we practice in Kundalini, one second. One of the things that we practice in Kundalini is sound. How do we use sound to enable our physical instrument to be able to resonate with the contributing field that surrounds everything? How can that contributing field, which contains all of the information that we need, how can we absorb and translate that information into our navigation so that we can be successful in each moment? Nearly everyone knows about chakras. And even the chakras being different colors, the chakras are also different tones. From the lowest tone of C sharp sharp to the highest tone of a B sharp sharp. And all of that in between is affecting every gland and every organ in your body. And so the tones, the attitudes have tones. All of these components have tones. whatever your attitude, whatever your words, whatever you're practicing, can be concentrated into a daily routine that you can set aside some time so that you can then focus your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental bodies, the three brains plus all of the facets of those, into being very clear and able to navigate the moments. It's like all of the equipment on a ship, from, if it's a sailing vessel, from the sails to the rudder to the keel to the navigational equipment, all of it is focused on arriving at the destination. This is translated into our physiology through the chakra system, which is then coming from, as I said, that informational field that surrounds each and every one of us. It surrounds the planet, it surrounds the solar system, it surrounds the galaxy. It just keeps surrounding and surrounding. It's what that holographic science demonstrates. Every part is equal to the whole. And for a final slide, I want to show you one of the things that is quite fascinating in Kundalini study, and that is that there is this thing called the collective consciousness, the universal mind. There are so many different words to describe it, but basically it's the intelligence of the cosmos. Some people refer to it as a deity, as God, as Dios in Spanish, whatever the language is that you use. And then the translating filters are, the angels and guides and all of those components. And it's all very scientific. But you have that universal mind. Then you have what is called a silver cord. And it comes down in through the crown, down through the head, down through the tongue and the throat, and it is rooted into the thymus gland, which is the pace setter of the heart. So you have this pulse coming in through the top of your head. If you've ever been in a hospice situation where you have witnessed someone in their moment of passing, one of the most common and most outstanding realizations and revelations is that you will witness this. It's almost like steam or a puff of smoke. It just comes out of the crown of the head, and that's literally the unplugging of that silver cord, and from then on the body is at rest. The body has been disconnected from life, and it's just matter, and the soul has been drawn out of it. In this silver cord, which roots in the thymus, the pace setter of the heart, you are constantly experiencing this messaging. Every beat of your heart is giving out this message, is giving out this message. Here I am, here I am. I am to, I am to, I am to do, I am to be, I am, I am. And this is one of the reasons why there's this old expression. It just came out of the blue, because the blue literally means the blue ether, which is another name for that universal mind. And so the second part of this last slide is that out of the blue, you're able to receive it when you are emotionally balanced in your faith and trust and courage and hope, and your inspiration and your motivation are connected to that. And what happens then is that every circumstance that you're trying to navigate in this world, which has a proposition and an opposition, Newton's third law of motion, for every action there's a reaction, that is what rules the material field, and you're navigating that, and you're finding that you can get your answers out of, as the expression goes, out of the blue by exercising your appreciation, your gratitude, your faith, your trust, your courage, your hope, etc., etc. And so to enable our emotional bodies to consciously, intentionally be in these more revelatory states, that's what Kundalini, the science, enables you to do. That's what we teach in our 200-hour training at Kundalini University. After the 6 or 7 months of being immersed in this kind of information, this is what you come out with. You come out with this sensation, and we have witnessed it we've graduated over thousands of people, and suddenly they're saying, God, my whole life is changing. I'm finding solutions where I could only see problems before. I'm having this sensation that I can achieve this, that I can be successful in this, that I can navigate each and every moment. So let's, before we open the conversation up to comments or questions and conversation, let's do a meditation. Let's do a breathing, sounding meditation. So we're going to have that Ama as the root of our meditation. All right? And I'm going to put on just some gong, drone music so that we can have that in the background. And then we will inhale deeply, and we'll all do it on our own because we all have different lung capacities. And so we are going to take our hands and once again put them in that Venus lock, which recirculates all of that energy. And you're going to inhale deep, and in the exhale it's Ama, and then take another inhale deep. You can do it as loudly or as softly as you feel comfortable in doing. let the breath be very natural. This sounding has connected the head brain with the heart brain. The deep breathing connecting the heart brain with the gut brain. And now we want to take this openness, this parasympathetic openness, and we want to focus it. So please come standing up. Separate your feet by a little wider than your shoulders. Crouch down so that you feel the pressure on your thighs. Extend your left arm to the side, and as if you're drawing back a bow in that archer position, begin deep breathing with your eyes focused down your extended arm. And while you're doing this deep breathing in posture, be contemplating what it is that you're navigating. It's either people, it's places, it's ideas, it's efforts, it's circumstances, it's time, it's whatever it is. And just see your way navigating like that sailboat through the waves. Long and deeply breathing. And now to the other side. The right arm is extended now. One more time back to the original side. Final move back to the opposite side. Navigating the moment, focusing on success. Inhale deeply. Exhale, bring your fingers again interlaced and just bow the body down. Let your arms and hands dangle. Let your head dangle. Slowly rising back up and come sitting down. Hydrate. Take your water, whatever it is that you're drinking at the moment, and hydrate. Let your pranic field very intelligently self-organize. You feel it just moving through your physical body. One of the things before we open the conversation is, people think that today is worse than it's ever been. Actually, it's not worse than it's ever been in each location. It's just that there is global communication. And so each location is then multiplied by all of the other locations that are expressing and experiencing their dilemmas. And so we have what is called compounding dilemmas. And that's what makes today's world feel more oppressive. Understand that the feeling of being more oppressive is translated not so much physically at first, but emotionally. And so we emotionally feel this greater pressure, tension, stress, and friction. Ultimately, that can have physical consequences and mental distortions. What we work with in the science of Kundalini is how to clear that from moment to moment. And so we've had a brief communication and experience today. What I want to impress upon you is that it is up to each one of us to expand that so that we are using a brief moment in every day to be able to handle and navigate the circumstances of every single day. And that's the success that we have when we practice something as scientific and as practical as Kundalini. And so with that comment, I will have Katrina sort of coordinate our conversation. She works with me in Kundalini University, and we do this twice a week, every week, when school is in session.
We do. We're on summer break, though, so.
That's right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. There are a lot of you who've already trained with us, so if you'd humor me, please raise your hand if you're in Zoom world, or raise your physical hand just to acknowledge that you've already been through the training with us. I see lots of people raising their hands, Guru Singh. Fantastic, and waving. Awesome. I love it. Wonderful to see all of your faces again. Okay, so if you have a question for Guru Singh, I see lots of physical hands and Zoom hands raising. So fantastic. And I know we have friends in the other live streaming portion too. So acknowledging whoever is there as well. Elizabeth in chat says, I love your teaching so much and love practicing Kundalini Yoga. Thank you. I still want to do the whole course. Well, we can answer any questions about that, Elizabeth. Bringing you on with Guru Singh. Hello, Isabel. Wonderful to see you.
Hi.
Here we go.
I just want to say hi and thank you. It's Isabel from Norway. Guru Singh.
Yes,
hi.
I recognize you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Very well, thank you.
It's so nice to see you and Katrina again.
Days are getting longer where you are, yes?
Yes, finally. It's been so cold. It's been 25 below zero. It's been a cold and long winter. So still having the wool jumper on, but summer is coming, so we are hopeful. I didn't have any question. I just wanted to connect and say so much happened after 1 year of Kundalini University. Lots and lots have happened. So it's so true what you said. When we practice every day, things start to turn and click, and a better path. It's been fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to both of you. So I just wanted to say hi and thank you.
I'm glad that you came on camera. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guru Singh, and thank you, Katrina. Love you both.
Thank you,
Love
Isabel.
you.
Thank you for starting our conversation.
Satnam.
Guru Singh, we have a question in the chat from Elizabeth. When does your teacher training course start?
It starts as soon as you sign up, because there is a pre-course. The actual physical participation on a weekly basis begins in middle of September. But as soon as you sign up, You get full access to all 835 pages of manual, all of the hundreds of videos, and there's a pre-course called Pathways. And that Pathways course takes a period of time to get through, and it's an introduction to the materials. And so, in direct answer to your question, the course begins the moment you sign up, and it's a phenomenal course. What we did was we took my 60 plus years of study and we put it into a 200-hour training. We divided it up into 22 modules, and we go through a module each week over a long period of time, and you are able to dive down into this material in a very practical as well as a very esoteric way. But as soon as you sign up, you get all of the material, and the Pathways course begins for you. Thank you.
Yeah,
for
the
that
first
question.
live call is September 17th. So we have live calls on Guru Singh and I hang out with y'all on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So I dropped a link into the chat that will give you all the information, the exact call times and everything like that. So Tuesdays is evening for me at 6 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. Guru Singh's time. And then Saturdays is 11 a.m. my time and 9 a.m. Guru Singh's time. So if that helps at all.
That way we're able to get all parts of the world during daylight hours.
Yes. Thank you for that question. And at that link that I dropped in the chat too, you can register. And as soon as you do, like Guru Singh said, you'll get access to all of the things and you can start diving into the content. Okay, we have a question from Valentina. How to differentiate doubts from the analysis and voice of intuition that comes out of the blue?
How to differentiate between analysis and the voice of intuition. Is that correct?
How to differentiate doubts from the analysis and voice of intuition that comes out of the blue.
The same way that you learn to differentiate between what is a beautiful sound on a violin or a guitar or a piano or a trumpet or any instrument and what is kind of just noise. And that is practice, practice, practice. When a young child is learning a musical instrument, their brain doesn't really understand harmonic intervals. And thank goodness it doesn't, because otherwise they would be so appalled at the sound of their instrument, because in the beginning, everyone's instrument sounds like a beginning. But they keep up. They keep doing it. They keep practicing. And as they practice, it sounds better and better. And each one of us is ever so slightly different in how we articulate intuitively. And just like each one of us is slightly different in how we play a musical instrument. And so what ends up happening here is that you begin to understand through your own discovery process. And we take you through that. As a matter of fact, one of the modules is intuition. And we take you through that through all of the 200 hours of this training to refine your capacity to differentiate between that which is doubtful analysis and that which is intuitive revelation. And as the previous person was indicating, the revelation, so to speak, the revealing of the powers within each and every one of us is so profound that as we work together over these, we start in September and we end at the beginning of April. So through all of those months of working together and working with your fellow students, and we divide the large course down into small groups, and you have a group leader within each one of those, and you have time spent with each other in those smaller groups as well as in the larger group with me. And what you discover and what you communicate back and forth between you and the other students and you and the teachers is just how to develop the sounds, so to speak, if we want to use the same metaphor as the musical instrument, how to develop the sounds of your intuition, how to develop the skills, how to develop the perspectives. And this is one of the most meaningful parts of this course, is that it does give you an extremely intuitive capacity, which is like having navigational equipment in the navigational equipment in the ship that you're sailing through life. It gives you, like in today's world, all of the navigational equipment that's on board vessels is so different than what they were experiencing 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago when they were sailing around the world. And it's the same way when you work in a course such as Kundalini University and develop that internal instrumentation, how to use it. It's really quite profound, because everybody in the world has this instrumentation inherent in their body, in their physical body, and in their emotional capacities and their mental clarities. Learning how to use it is what makes it effective. Thank you for that question.
Guru Singh, here is Pauline.
Hello, Pauline.
Hello, Pauline. Need to unmute, please.
Apologies, I'm on my phone and just struggling a little bit with unmuting. But Satnam, Guru Singh, it's so wonderful to be back with you. I'm speaking from Blackpool, which is in northwest of England. So it's early evening here, but getting much nicer.
So you're just above the Lake District?
Just below the Lake District.
Oh, you're just below the Lake District. My family origin is from Wales, and so we spent a lot of time in the British Isles.
Wow, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful part of the country, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, Guru Singh, I was really interested when you were talking about our life as being like a constant absorption. Since the training, well, I've had a daily sadhana now for about 2 years, but it's been far more. I've done it for much longer now since the training, and I've been trying to take that awareness into when I walk my dog after my sadhana every morning. I walk my dog, and I've been trying to take that awareness and that kind of that feeling of having more energy and carrying less waste around throughout into that walk. And there are some times when I can literally cycle in and out of kind of feeling clear, having clarity in my awareness, to kind of feeling very, very heavy. Like I can cycle in and out of that kind of, up to kind of 10, 11, 12 times during my walk. And I'm trying to stop myself from getting frustrated by not being able to hold on to that. And I'm just wondering whether this is, do I need to do more work around this idea of not holding on to the waste products? Do you think that's what's affecting me? So I wondered if you could share anything with me around that.
Yes, thank you for bringing this up, because this is something that's very applicable to everyone. We all want to have the joy of the taste of the nutrition and the clarity, the mental clarity, the emotional joy, and the physical energy of the nutritional components. In order for that to be part of life, we must have the digestive and the eliminating components equally as active. And so when you're cycling in a walk between the joys of absorption and the heaviness of the elimination, just think of it as a microcosm of what is happening in your life. Every day you eat meals. Every day you have elimination. And so it's the microcosm on an emotional and mental level cycles many times through the day, as you've noticed on your walk. So the greatest response is always acceptance and allowance. And if you accept and allow those multiple phases to take place as you're going on about your walk, as you're going throughout the day, to everyone on this call, when we allow those phases to take place, we don't interfere with them. They take place much more readily, much more rapidly, and then we move on. And so any time that you're feeling that heaviness, just sit within it and allow that to pass. I guess metaphor intended. Allow it to pass through you, because and thank it. Be grateful for your elimination. Be grateful for the heaviness, because it is that heaviness that brought the light. It is that heaviness that was able to carry the nutrition into your existence. And now it's time to, relocate that transporting element, that container. It's just like when you empty a bottle or a carton of liquid into your food. Now you have an empty carton or an empty bottle. It's time to recycle. It's time. And so the process, just enjoy the process of recycling the waste, which is that heaviness, as much as you enjoy the importance of the nutrition. Great.
Thank you, Guru Singh. Sat Nam.
Sat Nam. Feel blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Guru Singh, we have a question in the chat from Lesia. And if I'm mispronouncing, I apologize. I always say I have this Midwest accent. Does your course use Kundalini Research Institute materials? Do you want to talk a bit about how you've created everything yourself?
Yes. Thank you so much. At the moment of COVID in 2020, when Brett Larkin and I formed Kundalini University and took the training online, I spent 9 months writing the manuals, and Brett and I filming the videos and building the Kriyas. And one of the things, after teaching in the KRI system for 50 years, one of the things that I was very specific about was that I was going to plagiarize nothing. There was going to be nothing that was a copy of anything that was KRI, because I respected, every institution has the right to have its own materials. And so I wrote and literally redesigned and redefined the process of going from the beginning to the end of a level 1, a 200-hour training. I'm not in criticism of KRI. I taught that system for, as I say, 50 years. But this, I feel, is what I was wanting to do probably for 35 at least years of that 50 years. I was wanting to create a system that I felt was much more applicable to today's world. One of the things that we encourage is that to develop the skill set of building Kriyas, of building these sets that you learn about the anatomy, the physical anatomy and the subtle anatomy. You learn about the asanas and the movements, and you learn about the breath and the sounds and the mantras. And once you've learned all of these components of the science of Kundalini, there is an additional part of the science, and that is developing new applications, new ways in which the traditions can be used to meet the circumstances of the 21st century. And so in Sanskrit it's known as Kundalini Kriya Shastra, and that means using the basic principles of Kundalini to build Kriyas. And so all of the Kriyas that we use, the meditations that we use, are all built in that way, or they come from, the science that developed KRI, the science that developed in Patanjali's, the science that developed in the Udasis around the time of Guru Nanak and the time of the great masters, the great Vedic masters, and before them the great Siddhic masters, and also the art of Tai Chi and Qigong, which are part of that greater form of the physical biometric motion and acuposture that many sciences throughout time have incorporated. So what we have at Kundalini University is a course that takes into consideration absolutely everything, including some of the mantras that are used within the KRI system, some of the mudras, but those mantras and mudras come from hundreds of years before, and but we did not reassemble KRI. We made a completely new university system, and from the inspiration and the communication from our graduates, we know that it's extremely successful. We've graduated in these 3 years that of our existence, we've graduated over 1,200 students, and what a time we've had. Thank you for that question. There's a lot of clarity there.
Thank you, Guru Singh. I dropped it in the chat, but just so everyone can hear me in case you're not looking at that. The Kriyas that Guru Singh created for Kundalini University, they're both my very favorite to practice and to share with students. So just wanted to add that.
Excellent.
Guru Singh, here is Yi.
Hello, Yi.
Hello, Guru Singh. It's so great to be here to join your live session. So good. I miss you so much. Although after the 200 training, I follow you to practice in 30 months, but it's still so glad to be here. I have two questions. One question is about money. So in the module 4, you said money is fourth dimensional. I want to know why.
Money is a measure of effort and time. Money, when it's applied to an object, could be the time that the earth took. For example, the money that a diamond is worth is the time that the earth took to form that diamond. And so it's the scarcity of something which causes it to be of greater value because it takes more time. Money is a measure. There's an old saying, time is money. But money is a measure of time. It's a way, people are paid by the hour or by the week or by the month or by the year. And that is how it is measured. Now, understand that money is a way that the world exchanges, but it is not the way that we should measure our time. We should measure our value based on how much inspiration are we receiving, how much joy are we receiving, how much health are we receiving from the things that we are doing with our time. In order to function in the world, we need to exchange currency, because our rent or our mortgage, our food and our clothing, our fuel, all of these things require an exchange of currency. And so for that, we spend time to earn currency to then pay for all of those things. But we have to understand that this is just a modern day circumstance. It's only been in existence for the last 500 or 600 years in the way that it is today. Because just like all animals in nature, originally we just searched for our food, we traveled to where the food could be, we gathered in locations, we gathered in communities, and it's over the past 400 or 500 years of merchandising and traveling around, when the world became round and all of the explorations and the commerce began to take place. That's when money really became an exchange mechanism in order to make exchanges more easy. But time and money have this relationship in the external world, but we should not have that relationship with our time, which is really the only thing that we own. Everything else is rental. We rent this body, we rent everything. The only thing that we actually own in life is that fourth dimension of time. How are you spending your time? Yeah. Money and time. It's an interesting thing. When money dominates time, time is usually less joyful. But when life dominates time, time is usually more wealthy, abundant. I've always said that there are several ways of acquiring money. You can steal it, you can borrow it, or you can earn it. And the way you earn it is by assigning a value to your time and then using that value that you've assigned to your time to guide you to find where that cycle can be returned, right? You have a value, who's going to pay for that value?
Thank you. And I have another question about Infinite Stranger, because I want to learn more about it. I met my Infinite Stranger 2.5 years ago, just before I entered your training. That night, after I practiced yin yoga, I just felt so flexible. I felt like I'm a like a jelly.
Yeah.
So I lie on the bed, but I know I'm awake. Didn't totally go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Then I fall back into the darkness. I began to trembling seriously. I had that kind of experience before several times. That's fall back into the total darkness. Mm-hmm. And the music comes. Every time the music comes, and time the music is different. Then I found I was holding by something. It's like a pair of hands, really soft, like babies. it guided me through all the buttons of the river, the lake, the sea, and even the swimming pool. And I also see the light, the water. I think I am the water. So from my institution, I just know that we come from the water. And the sun comes out from the darkness. Then the hand, or you can say the infinite stranger's hand, take me fly through all the streets above old China, really, really old because it's poor and dirty. Then we land on the hill or land on the cliff, on the edge of the cliff. I can tell that she's a girl. She's a girl as almost as short as me, because when I lean my forehead against her collarbone, I found her skinny like me. I'm trembling. Maybe I'm so frightened. And maybe I just want to flatter her. So I call her Mom. I ask her, Mom, could you tell me what's my destiny in my life, in this life? And she said, ow, 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 ow. This alien language. So I said it again. Can you say it slowly? I don't understand. So she said, ow, 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 ow. But this time I get the information from that. First, she said, you're different from other girls, which I know from my childhood. Sounds like I'm not a woman, I'm not a man. And number two is 1 in 1,000, 1 in 1,000. Number three is there are only 3 people in the world. And then I began to analyze this message. I thought if there's 1 in 1,000, there couldn't be only 3 people in the world. Then I jumped out the scene quickly, and I found I'm trembling and get up to journal. That's the most expressive Akashic experience I had. I think
if you would allow me to respond, the beauty of your experience, and we refer to it as an infinite stranger because it has that connection to the hologram of infinity, and it is a stranger to the majority of humanity. The numbers are not so much important, but just to understand that the experience of connecting to that part of our being that is completely aware of our destiny, completely aware of the pathway forward, is a goal. It is a desire of every human being, that they can know where they are going and that they are going to get there, to have that confidence. And so what you were experiencing was what I was showing on the graphic. When you go down into the theta state of the brain, it's a dream time, but like you said, you were awake. So it's what's called cognitive dreaming and lucid dreaming. And what happens is that your brainwave process is so large that you're receiving both the visible, practical information out of a moment, which is why you saw old China. It's why you knew that you were on the edge of a cliff. It's why you felt that she was like the same size as you. Those are all very visible, practical attitudes. But it is also going to allow you to absorb the invisible, which are the intuitive indications of how to navigate this moment into the next moment, into the next moment, into the next moment. And what's important when you have an experience like this is to not set it aside as a unique experience, but realize that you're actually having this experience 24 hours a day. The only difference between the time that you registered the experience and the time that you're not is the level of awareness. But there's a part of all of our beings that are in constant contact with the infinite stranger. Another name for the infinite stranger is the angels, our spirit guides. Some indigenous cultures call them power animals. It is a mechanism that is actually holding us. As you said, her hands were very soft. It is holding us. It is guiding us through our life. And when we allow ourselves to be open enough, to be innocent enough, to be vulnerable enough, which are all the things that you were in those moments that you had these experiences, that's when the sensations begin to become visceral and very practical. You can experience them fully. The body trembles simply because you had much more energy passing through your cognitive, through your conscious field, and it was like a river passing through a narrows in the canyon. You know, it gets very jostling, it gets very jumpy when the big water rushes through the very narrow. And that's what's happening when that big awareness passes through the narrows of your consciousness. It causes the body to tremble. So I'm glad that you brought this up, because regardless of how any of us experience our higher awareness, what I want everyone on this call to understand is that there, through Kundalini, through many forms, but we here at Kundalini University teach Kundalini, through Kundalini you are able to gather those experiences so that they can be recharging stations. Just like if you have an electric car, you need to know where the recharging stations. They can recharge your life with energy, with hope, with confidence, with joy, with clarity, all of these attributes that make us much more capable of navigating the journey of our life. Yi, it is so good to see you again. So good to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, and I also add that no wonder after I graduated from your training, I began to grounding more, because everybody says Kundalini is so spiritual, but for me, it's like going home, and I found my family, and also I found more grounding in the physical world. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Yi, thank you so much. I want to see you a lot.
Thank you, Yi.
My wife and I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yi. Good to see you here. Okay, Guru Singh, we are right at time. Do you have an extra couple minutes to answer these couple little questions in the Q&A?
Absolutely.
Okay, I figured. So I'll kind of combo them together just for the sake of time. We have someone asking if Kundalini rising can be experienced, and how long of a sadhana do I need to do to experience that? And then also someone asking you to kind of clarify what you mean when you say Kundalini is a science. I feel like you can kind of merge the two together.
The distance to London, the distance to Shanghai, the distance to Tokyo is very similar to the distance to that awakening. It all depends on where you're traveling from. So what we teach in Kundalini University is how can you get yourself moving in the direction of your goal. If your goal is to have that awakening and to live in that awakened state while being grounded, as Yi said, throughout your day, then obviously that's a great goal, that's a great destination. It'll depend upon where you're coming from and how long it's going to take you to get there. But guaranteed that what we teach at Kundalini University are the methodologies, are the technologies that enable you, if practiced, to arrive there. And that opens up the second part of the question, which was why Kundalini, I call it a science, and that is because it is. Kundalini is a series of methodologies, it's a series of technologies, it's a series of using the anatomy, it is a series of using efforts through the anatomy, such as breathing techniques, such as sounding techniques with mantra, all of which are very science-based. One of the things about science is that science is a constant. Actually, let me read something which is very, very beautiful. It's about the definition of science. The public, for the most part, has a distorted view of science because as children, we are all taught in school that science is a collection of established truths. But in fact, science is not a collection of truths only. It is also a continuous exploration of the mysteries. And in the process of exploring for discovering through the mysteries, you come up with the established truths and the established facts, like the distance between the earth and the sun, and the rotation of the earth and the rotation of the moon, and the cycles of the moon, and this is all astronomy. Just like in quantum physics, that same cycling is on the very small level, like in chemistry. So in Kundalini, we use physics, we use astronomy, we use chemistry, because we know that if there is a certain pressure on a certain tissue in a certain location of a certain organ, that it will secrete a particular peptide, hormone, lipid, and protein that will cause the body and the emotional body and the mental body to feel a certain way. This is why science is such an important aspect of the study of Kundalini, and this is why at Kundalini University, it's why my wife and I named it a university, is because we approach it not only in a metaphysical and a esoteric way and a philosophical way, but we also approach it in a very pragmatic and practical and more didactic way. So we have the dynamics and the didactics, which is the wherewithal and the focal point. And that's why Kundalini is a science. Bless you. Thank you. Thank each and every one of you for these incredible questions.
Can you give a quick definition of both Satnam and Waheguru?
Sat is the sound of the inhale. It's actually, that is what it means. And Nam is the sound of a sigh or an exhale. It's And so this Satnam is actually an inhale and an exhale. There's definitions that Sat is truth and Nam is name. Great. But the fact is that Sat is the truth of life, breath, and Nam is the expression that comes from that breath, which is, as an expression, part of your identity. Wa is like, wow, it's an exclamation beyond. It's literally the name of the universal mind. Wa is that universal mind that is bringing all of the information into life. Gu means darkness from which there is no light. Ru means light in which there is no darkness. So Guru means that which takes darkness, the Gu, and turns it into light, the Ru. And so Waheguru simply means that universal mind comes from darkness into light. Sat inhales it, Nam expresses it. That's the science of sound, mantra, and life, all rolled into one explanation. Good question.
Thank you all. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your answers, Guru Singh. I dropped the link to join us, because for those of you asking, into the chat one more time. So thank you for being here, Guru Singh. You going to close us out?
Yes, and I would like to say before we do our closing that there is so much that you can find out. We're going to have other Q&As. We're going to have other master classes. If you want to continue to research the possibility of joining us at Kundalini University, understanding that we have certified ourselves through Yoga Alliance at Kundalini University. We are a certified 200-hour training. And we're developing a 300-hour training in Kundalini, and it is a well-researched and extremely well-rehearsed presentation that has been working now for 3 years since we formed it, and the precursor to those 3 years was my 50 to 60 years of study. So I look forward to experiencing each and every one of you in some way, either in our master classes or enrolled in our university session. At the end of all Kundalini classes, we sing a closing prayer. My friends, the incredible string band back in the 60s wrote The Long Time Sunshine. I thought I would branch out. We talk about the mystic stars now. May the mystic stars shine around us all. The everlasting oceans of love bring joy within us all. And the pure light, the pure, pure light deep inside, Spirit guiding our way on. Spirit guiding our way on. It has been such a joy to be with you all. Check us out. Go to kundaliniuniversity.com and find out how, or go to gurusingh.com and find out how you can participate with us in so many different ways. Our 200-hour training is something that we have put together and perfected over decades. And I think that you will find it to be extremely fulfilling, and it serves the needs of each individual. You get out of it exactly what you need. So I love you. My wife and I want to be with you. Bless you. Have a blessed day. Be well. Be at peace. Sat Nam.